Welcome to the Texas Cannabis Collective Weekly Update for the week of August 13th, 2022. I'm Jesse Williams. Lone Star Collective and Texas Cannabis Collective updates are sponsored by Thrive Apothecary. For more information, visit thrivetx.com. Support also comes from Oak Cliff Cultivators. For more information on Oak Cliff Cultivators, visit oakcliffcultivators.com. We've got upcoming events as well in Texas. On August 27th is the all-day event Canna Rock in Austin, Texas at Come and Take It Live. On October 10th is the Texas Marijuana March and Freedom Festival at the Burnett Park in Fort Worth, Texas at 12 p.m. For more information, visit the Events tab in the menu of the Texas Cannabis Collective website. This week in cannabis news, Texas Cannabis Advocates Greenlight Events and Texas Cannabis Collective as advocacy partner hosted the Texas Cannabis Roundup. The event took place at the Longhorn Ice House in Dallas, Texas this past Wednesday evening. It is the first event collaboration between the two at the location since they hosted the official kickoff party of Lucky Leaf Dallas in 2021. That event wound up being the event of the year for the 2021 Texas Hemp Awards. The event featured several speakers, including Dalton O'Neill, Leah Laxton's, Moon Taxi, The Hemp Housewife, Power Biofarms, Drops of Life, and more. A little over 200 people packed themselves into the venue to hear speakers. This included people from engineering spaces to growing spaces, retail fronts, veterans, and people seeking work within the growing Texas cannabis industry. The speaking events took place between 6:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. with a social gathering for attendees to network afterward. The Texas Cannabis Collective's next sponsored event will be Canna Rock on August 27th at Come and Take It Live in Austin, Texas. South by Southwest has opened voting on marijuana and psychedelics panels for the upcoming 2023 exposition. Voting for 93 separate panels opened this past Tuesday and will remain open until August 21st. In the past years, the panels were scattered across the voting platform, but this year panels are placed under specific categories known as tracks. For the cannabis category, there are 61 options. For psychedelics, there are 32 proposed panels. A well-known ally in the space from Texas that has put forward a panel is Shada Tarabi of Restart CBD in Austin, Texas. She has submitted the panel Cannabis E-Commerce Limitations and Opportunities. Shada is also slated to be a speaker for the possible panels titled Censorship in Cannabis, Tales from the Deleted, Your State Legalized Adult Cannabis Use. Now what? The Future of Chemically Derived Cannabinoids. Foundational Leanings of CPG as a Cannabis Brand. Cannabis 2.0, Insights for the Next Green Wave. Cannabis Marketing from CBD to THC. Sage Howell of Restart CBD will be hosting the possible panel The Future of Chemically Derived Cannabinoids. And Ray Kaderli, founder, owner of Hemp Build Network LLC, will be speaking on carbon zero building with hemp materials for a possible panel. The Future of Cannabis panel is another Texas-based presentation that will be led by well-known Texas ally Nishi Wheatley of Foundation for an Informed Texas. She will also be a speaker for a possible panel titled The Need for Cannabis Industry Innovation. Kim Flores, CEO of the Texas Hemp Housewife here in Texas, is lined up to be a speaker with Help, I Just Found Out My Parents Smoke Weed as a possible panel for the South by Southwest Exposition in 2023. Links are included in the published article on TexasCannaco.com if you wish to see the information for this panel and vote for it. Texas advocates voted to be given stage time at South by Southwest can be monumental for cannabis reform in Texas and across the nation during the next session. This is because the event will take place during the Texas legislative session, and the expansion of Texas impacts the nation as a whole with current commodity and economic structure. A study has shown that with states that have legalized marijuana, significant reductions in synthetic cannabinoids poisoning are seen. The report notes that a retrospective study of National Poison Data System (NPDS) data from 2016 to 2019 identified and associated synthetic poisoning reports with annual state cannabis law and market status. State implementation of medical cannabis law was associated with 13% fewer reported annual exposures and was not seen as statistically significant. Adoption of permissive state cannabis policy was independently and significantly associated with 37% lower reported annual synthetic exposures relative to restrictive policies such as those found in states like Texas. Opening of retail markets was associated with 36% fewer reported exposures relative to states with medical cannabis only. The study has shown that prohibition does not stop people from trying to access a cannabis or cannabis product replacement, but increases the likelihood of, by a significant margin, that users would be accessing something that is extremely detrimental to human health under prohibition. Cases were characterized by the state in which the exposure occurred, coding state cannabis laws into three separate categories: restrictive, medical, and permissive. Restrictive states were defined as those where cannabis is either illegal or restricted to CBD only, or very low concentration THC products for narrow medical use. This is what Texas falls into. Then there are medical states which allow for the use of THC products with broad medical authorization. Permissive states were those which had adult use cannabis for non-medical purposes. This study shows some potential public health benefits to the legalization and regulation of adult use of cannabis. Based on both past research and this current study, it's evident that users who have a choice to use a less toxic product would potentially do so. The study lead author, Tracy Klein, a WSU Associate Professor of Nursing, told TNF Newsroom. That is it for this week in Cannabis News Review here at the Texas Cannabis Collective. If there is something going on in the Texas cannabis space that you think others should be aware of, just drop us a note on our contact form online. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, and you can find us by searching Google for Texas Cannabis Collective or TexasCannaco.com and search for Lone Star Collective Podcast in your search engine as well to get updates about our show and weekly news. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates as well. Have a safe week, Texas, and stay hydrated to beat the heat.